Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's session, we are going to start with the new series that is the SQL. So in this series, first we are going to discuss about what is the database, what is meant by DBMS, relational database, and then we will see how to install the SQL server. And then we will start with the SQL basis and we will write all the syntaxes and everything, how to work on the data, how to manage data, everything we are going to see in this series. So, SQL from the very beginning, from the very basics to the advanced level, everything we are going to discuss in this SQL series. So, let's start with the today's video. The first thing is what is meant by a database and what are the key features of the database. So, a database is an organized collection of the data that is stored and managed electronically, typically in structure format that allows for the easy access, retrieval, modification, and the analysis. So suppose I have created a new database which is having employee details. Okay, so in employee details, what exactly it will come? Maybe a employee, employee's first name, employee's last name, what exactly the role, in which department that employee is working. All this detail will come under the employee detail database. So this data, whatever we are going to store, is going to store in the structure format. So there are rows, column. There is a relation with this rows and columns. It creates the table, and this table is related to the other table. So there is a relational database, RDBMS, that also we are going to discuss. So basically, this is the structure format. In the rows and columns, we are going to store the data. For example, the employee ID 1, whose name is XYZ, who is working in the particular XYZ department. Like that, we are going to store the data in column and the rows format. So that's called as a structure format. And because of the structure format, it is easy to access the data. I can fetch the data. I can modify the data. Suppose I want to change the department. The employee now move to the from example the sales department to the HR department. Then in that case I need to modify the particular data. So for the modification also we can use the SQL for the database modification. Then we can perform some analysis on whatever the data exists in the database. So database are used in a various application such as business operation, online platform, healthcare, and education. And it is used to store the information as we discussed the employee detail, customer records, for example, the financial transaction, inventory details, and many more. So let's discuss some of the key features of the database. So database, as we discussed, it is a structure format. That means the data is organized in a tables, rows, and column for the relational database. So as we took the example of the employee detail. So first we created one table which is having the employee details like first name, last name, department. Okay, there is a one more table which is related, supposed to the maybe salary, what is the provident fund against that particular employee. So that employee ID is mapped against these two tables. So there is a relation between the two tables as well. So it is in the structure format, rows and columns format, and there is a relation in the two tables that we will see in the details in the upcoming section. So data integrity. What does mean by integrity? It ensures the accuracy and consistency of the data. Then query capability. We can use the language called as a structure query language to interact with the data. So as we discussed, we can access the data, we can modify the data, we can perform some actions on that particular data using the query language. Scalability means can handle a large amount of data efficiently, and security is also one of the key feature of the database. So security means it provides the access control and protection from the unauthorized access. For example, there is a development team, there is a tester team, there is a business analysis team. So for the business analysis team, there might be a different accesses are given to the database. For the tester team, there are different accesses are given to the database, and same applies for the developer. Maybe developer having the modification access, but the business analysis team only can see the data. They don't have the modification access. So as per the team, you can access the control and you can protect the data from the unauthorized access. So let's discuss next is what is DBMS. So a DBMS stands for Database Management System. So it is a software that enable user to create, manage and interact with the database. So we already discussed what is the database. So DBMS is used to interact with the database. So it provides tools and functionalities to store, retrieve, modify, and manipulate data in an organized way. So a DBMS acts as an intermediary between the user or application and the database to ensure that the data is consistently organized and remains easily accessible. Let's quickly discuss the key features as it is kind of a similar like what we discussed for the database. So the first one is the data storage and the retrieval. So using the DBMS we can efficiently store and retrieve data as a required. The second is the data security. It implements the access control to ensure only authorized users can access or modify data, as we already discussed how that access control is given. Then data integrity means accuracy. Whatever we discuss in the database, the same query processing, you can use the SQL for the query processing to perform the complex queries and to retrieve the data. So these are the same key features are also available for the DBMS. Now the main part is the types of DBMS. So in this series we are mainly focusing on the relational database. Relational DBMS or RDBMS is the organizes data in a table with the rows and column. So there are some examples of the RDBMS, for example, MySQL, PostgreSQL or Oracle database, and we are going to work on the SQL server. So there are different types of DBMS are available. uh, there are hierarchical DBMS, then network DBMS, object oriented DBMS. Let's quickly understand what exactly the difference between that. So hierarchical DBMS means organized data in a tree like structure. As the name suggests, it is in hierarchy patterns. For example, IBM Information Management System, IMS. Then the network DBMS meant is uses a graph structure with node and edges for the relationship. For example, integrated data store IDS. Then there is a object oriented DBMS. So it stores the data as an object similar to the object oriented programming. So for example is the object DB. There is a no SQL DBMS also, means it is designed for unstructured or semi-structured data which providing high scalability. So some examples are MongoDB, Cassandra, Couchbase. So let's understand some of the real world example of the DBMS uses. Suppose there is a banking system. So in the banking system, to manage the customer accounts, their transaction and the balances, we can use the DBMS system. Then suppose there is a e-commerce platform. So to store the product catalogs, customer details and the order histories, we can use the database in that case. Suppose there is a healthcare application. So to manage the patient records, appointments, what exactly the treatments are going on, everything you can manage using the database management system, that is DBMS. So as we discuss the types of DBMS, let's understand what exactly the relational DBMS or RDBMS. So, Relational Database Management System or the RDBMS. So, it is a type of database management system that organizes the data into a structured table which consists of the rows and column. So the relationship between the data are maintained using the key. So there are two keys like primary key and foreign key. What exactly that we will discuss in detail in the upcoming sessions. So these keys we are using to maintain the relationship, and the data is accessed and manipulate using a structured query language, that is SQL. So RDBMS is a widely used for managing and organizing structured data in application like banking system, e-commerce platform, customer management system, and many more applications we can use the RDBMS. So let's understand the key concept of the RDBMS. So the first one is the tables or the relation. So data is stored in the tables that consist of rows like a records and column which are having the attributes. So each table represents an entity. For example, employees, related details as we already discussed, first name, then there is a last name. There are different columns will present in the employee details database. Then let's understand what is the primary key in short. So primary key is a unique identifier for each record in a table. So as we discussed the employee details table, the employee ID will be unique. So it will not be case like two employees having the same employee ID. Every employee will have the unique employee ID. So that is defined as the primary key. So a unique identifier for each record in the table is called as the primary key. Then the next is the foreign key, a column in one table that refers to the primary key in another table, which is used to establish a relation between the two tables. As we already discussed, suppose there is a employee details table and there is a salary table. So what will be the same key? Maybe the employee ID is the employee ID is the same key between the two tables. So this same key is used to create the relation between these two tables. So that's why a foreign key is important, and a column in one table that refers to the primary key in another table. So in that way you can create the relation between the two tables. Then we are using the structure query language. So structure query language or SQL is used to perform operations like data insertion, retrieval, updating, and deletion. For example, we can perform the select action, insert, update, and delete. This we will see in detail in the SQL basics. Now the last point is SQL. What is meant by SQL and what are the key components of the SQL? So SQL stands for Structure Query Language. So SQL is a standard programming language used to manage and manipulate relational database. It allows user to interact with the database by performing operations such as querying, updating, deleting, and creating data and a database structure. So SQL is a widely used in a relational database management system, RDBMS, like MySQL, PostgreSQL, Oracle, and Microsoft SQL Server. So we are going to discuss how to install Microsoft SQL Server in the next video. So let's understand what exactly the key components of the SQL. So the first one is the data query language or DQL. So DQL is used to retrieve the data from the database, and the common command is the select. For example, I can write select star from employee detail or select the first name from the employee detail. So it will fetch the employee details record. So that is the common command like select is used to retrieve the data from the database, and it comes under the data query language. Then there is a data definition language DDL. It is used to define and modify the structure of the database object such as table, indexes, and schema. So there are common commands like create, which used to create the database object. Then there is a alter command, which used to modifies the existing database object. And there is a drop command, which used to delete the database object. The third one is data manipulation language, DML. So DML is used to manipulate data within the database. And some of the common commands are insert, which is used to add the new data, then update, which is used to modify the existing data, and delete, used to remove the data. So let's talk about the data control language. So data control language is used to control access to the database. So the common commands used are grant. Grant used to grants the permission to the users, and revoke is used to revoke the permission. And then there is a one more which I forgot to written here, is this transaction control language, TCL. So transaction control language is used to manage a transaction within a database, and common commands used are commit to save all the changes made in a transaction. Rollback is basically used to revert the changes whatever we are made in that transaction, and save point is a sets a point to roll back to. So these are the common commands we use in the transaction control language. Let's see what are the advantages of the SQL. So SQL is a very easy to use. It is a versatile programming language. It can handle a wide range of operation on a relational database. So we will see all the SQL command in the coming session. So that's it for the today guys. Hope this video is useful for you. In the next video, let's see how to download Microsoft SQL Server, and then we will start with the SQL basic sessions. So make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel and press that notification bell icon so you will get notified every time I will post the new videos. So thank you for watching this video till the end. Have a nice day.